Welcome to the latest episode of Zoom In on the Jags. I'm Dr. Jeff Sherman from the School of Health and Human Sciences, and my guest today is IUPUI women's soccer senior midfielder Morgan Rymer. Morgan, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's a midweek, but I'm not a Wednesday guy, but I'm a sunshine guy, and today has been better than the last 2 days. So,
Yeah.
all right. So I want to get started by you come from New Berlin, Wisconsin, and you went to Catholic Memorial. How in the heck did you end up at IUPUI?
So I've played soccer my whole life, and I knew in high school that I wanted to play college soccer. So during the summer between my sophomore and junior year, I went to a lot of ID camps. So they're basically camps for college recruits. And I came to an ID camp here, and the assistant coach at the time, Stacy Pease, she was the one who actually noticed me playing and offered for me to come on an unofficial visit in the fall. So I did that, and I just kind of kept in contact with them during my junior year of high school. And Coach Johnson and then Stacy came and saw me play at one of my tournaments, and that was kind of it. And then I didn't end up committing until the following summer. So I was kind of recruited for an entire year. And that's kind of how I ended up here. And I knew that I wanted to do nursing, and this was a place where I could do both soccer and nursing, which I learned you can't do everywhere. So it was kind of the best of both worlds for me.
So during your time doing ID camps and club, did you run into any of your teammates that you currently, because I know there's a few that are from Wisconsin.
On
Did you
this
happen to
team,
play against anybody or when you were younger?
yes, I actually, so Jill and Nat, who are two seniors on the team, I played against them in club, and we've probably played against each other since we were in fifth grade, but I didn't know them at the time. But we found out later. I played against Jill senior year, so I knew she was coming here, but we definitely played against each other when we were younger. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the soccer community.
Yeah.
Some of those people play against each other all their lives, and some don't even know it.
Yeah.
So you just mentioned that you're a nursing major, and you said that you knew what you want. You knew you wanted to be a nursing major, and then IUPUI was the perfect fit.
Mhm.
What is it about, I guess, our program of study here that makes it a perfect fit for you? Why was IUPUI in nursing right for you?
So, well, first of all, Coach and Stacy were very understanding when I said that I wanted to do nursing, because I know there were some other coaches I had talked to who said, "Oh, it's probably not going to work here with clinicals and everything." So I could tell that they really placed an importance on academics, which was important to me. And then the nursing program here, I mean, there are 5 hospitals on campus or like right near campus, which you don't find that at many other schools. I don't know how many other schools have that, but where their campus literally has hospitals on it, especially University Hospital is literally in the center of our campus. So that seemed like a great opportunity for me. And I feel like I didn't realize how good the nursing program here is until I've talked to friends in other nursing programs back home and at other schools, and we've talked about clinical experience, and I've realized I've been to at least 6 different hospitals, from 6 or 7 for my clinicals so far, and I've had community experience and just so many different areas of experience that other people haven't have. So I realized how good of a program it is here.
So what I mean, with the program being what it is, and you've got all this stuff around you, that how do you see the academics as being? Were they difficult for a soccer player or an athlete? Is it difficult to do nursing with clinicals, even though you've got hospitals all over the place?
Yes, I would say it's definitely difficult because of the times of everything. So, nursing clinicals are usually 8, 9, 10, 12 hours long. And you have to hit a certain amount of hours per semester to move on and everything. So, every semester, this actually in the fall when we didn't have soccer, that I think was the only semester that I didn't have to have some sort of adjustment or makeup day or something. I Every single semester I ran into issues, and I was so grateful for all of my nursing professors who really, I probably wouldn't have gotten through without them because of all of the requirements that I needed adjustments for. And one year I had to take a summer class with the accelerated nursing program because it wouldn't have worked out in the fall. And I had to write a letter, do a board to get approved. So it was definitely, um, yeah, it was definitely difficult. But I, looking back, I'm very happy that I did both.
So what would you tell a student, right? A prospect that's wanting to come to IUPUI to play soccer and and then wants to be a nurse, right? Many people are thinking, what, trying to pull that off, right? But what would you say to a student like that that's going to be a game changer for them?
I would tell them that you really have to love both. I loved soccer and I really did not want to give that up at all. And I also was very passionate about nursing and I felt like that's what I'm called to be in life. And I was very passionate about both, and you definitely have to put in the effort and the work, or it's not going to work out. There were times where I had to make up practices or practice on a different day with coach and just like a few other girls because I had to miss practice. And then there were times where I had to, everyone was done with their clinicals and I had to go during the makeup week. And I had most of our exams, or a lot of our exams were at 7:30 in the morning, and that's when we practiced. So there were times where I had to ask a professor, can I take the exam right after practice? So I'd come in, after a 2-hour practice and I'd be dripping in sweat and had to take my exam. So I would just say if you're passionate about both and you really love both, then you will put in the work for it. But yeah, that's my advice. And then I think the other thing is like it it always helps to ask for help, and then the worst that someone can say is no. So I would just ask my professors, can I come on a different day, can I take the exam at a different time? I realized how important communication is, and then with coach as well, just letting him know, hey, I have clinical on these days, can we practice at a different time, or can we move? He's moved practices earlier for me, which I'm sorry to the whole team, but there were times where we had to practice at 7 a.m. at Sports Zone, which is far away because I had class at 9 or something. So yeah, I think just communicating is a huge part of it too.
Are you happy that you didn't do this earlier in the semester because they may have hazed you the rest of the semester because of this?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it was, I think, yeah, there's a few semesters where we've had to do that, but other girls have had classes early too, so I don't feel as bad.
All right, as long as it's not just you, right?
Yeah.
All right, so you were part of a championship team. So talk about how this program has grown during your 4 years, because you can see, the senior class, there was a culmination there. You were first year. The people before obviously built something special. How are you guys bringing that forward?
So I think coming in as being a freshman on that team, we really got to see and experience those seniors and how they led. And they, I mean, I loved that senior class. They were good people. They were good leaders. They were great soccer players. They just really care. You could tell how much they cared their senior year about the sport. And I think it made me as a freshman and all the other girls have that same level of passion for soccer. Like it really, coming here really fueled my passion. And I think that's something that's hard to find because a lot of times I think when girls go into college soccer, it is kind of like a job, it's hard and it's a high level. So I think sometimes you can get burnt out and it just doesn't become fun anymore. And I think that senior class really set a good foundation for just showing us how much passion they had for soccer. And I think my class kind of tried to carry that on, carry that passion. And this year, I feel like we really tried to make this season, we still tried to make it really fun because obviously we hadn't played in over a year. So we wanted this season to be just about playing with each other and having fun. And I hope all the girls felt that from us.
So your final season and a half obviously was, for lack of a better term, just a mess, right?
Yeah.
So talk to me a little bit about the timeline here. Last spring, right? It's March, early March. You guys are done with your season. You're 4 months past your season, right? You're getting ready. You're gearing up for spring. what did you guys do, or what did you specifically do when everything went haywire last March?
So I went home. I think like most people did, I went home and just spent time with my family. And my brother got to go home too. He's older than me and was starting a residency program, and that was put on hold. So I did a lot of workouts with him actually. And I played some soccer with my family. But yeah, I pretty much just, it was weird not having soccer. And then in the summer, I just trained with an old club coach, and then I trained with Liz a little too. So I just kind of tried to stay in shape best I could. Yeah, just did a lot of working out, and then in the fall, obviously we got to play against each other, but we didn't get to play against any other team. So it was weird not having an actual soccer game um, for over a year.
So when you went home, right, in your mind, what are you thinking, and what were you feeling during that time? And how did you adjust to finish your career? I mean, you're a nursing major. Now, that's a pretty major deal, and you got sent home for better part of a month and a half. From
Yeah.
with everything being so up in the air, nobody had any idea what was going to happen next. And so, how did you deal with that in your mind? Emotionally, how did you deal with all that?
Yeah, so I was actually in the middle of one of my clinicals when we had to go home. And originally, when we first got the news saying, oh, spring break will be 2 weeks or whatever, and then actually we're just going to be online the rest of the semester, they didn't cancel our clinicals at first because those are pretty essential for nursing students. A lot of learning takes place in the clinical setting. So when those got canceled, that was my med surge 2 clinical. I don't know if that means much to you, but I was
No.
on okay, I was on a cardiac progressive care unit at Methodist Hospital. And that got canceled. So I felt like I missed out on a lot of experience. And I was worried that senior year I wouldn't maybe get that experience. I know at first I think everyone was thinking, oh, this will be over in a few months, and everyone was really wrong. But um, yeah, I was pretty optimistic that maybe we could be back in the clinical setting in the fall. But it was weird just missing out on that experience. I know in the fall when that was my critical care clinical, so I was in the ICUs in the fall. And I remember being nervous thinking, oh, well, all the ICUs have COVID patients, so they're not going to let us be in the ICUs. And thankfully we were still able to, but I was really nervous going into that clinical because I didn't feel prepared, but that clinical really helped me just catch up on the experience. So
Did you have any interaction with any COVID, take care, or treatment, or learning anything about how that was being done, I guess visually or
yeah,
hands on?
I had seen in some of the ICUs I had been to, they had COVID positive patients, but they weren't COVID units. So I did not perform any direct care with COVID patients. But I did get a job this past fall, and that probably wouldn't have been possible without COVID because with soccer I wouldn't have been able to. But I work as a student nurse extern at the Clinical Research Center at University Hospital, and we that's where the AstraZeneca COVID vaccine trial was implemented. So I got to help out with that study and do blood draws and give vaccines and everything. So that was really cool because that's when like the race to find a vaccine was on, like in the fall. AstraZeneca did not place first in that race, but not even close. But it was cool to feel like I was part of that, part of finding a vaccine.
That's a unique experience, and that's kind of why I was asking if if you'd seen anything as far as how people were being treated, and the progression of the treatment from when you got back, I guess you could say, until now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's fascinating to me, to have somebody that literally is one of our students in that environment. And I know there's a ton of them, but I've never met them, and I've met you now, right? So.
Yeah.
So this spring, you guys come back to the pitch, right? And you guys are back playing soccer. And it doesn't necessarily go the way you wanted it to. So talk to me, bring me from January until, well, let me step back even further. Bring me from the day you were told we're actually going to play games until now. And how was everybody feeling, and what was going on, and because you all were separated for a long time, no games, practices. Yeah, you could do certain things in the fall, but they weren't that full-time status, right? They weren't
Mhm.
that every day you're going to do the same thing and then we're going to play. Tell me about that a little bit. That
Yeah,
whole
so
thing.
yeah, hearing that we were actually gonna have a spring season, it was exciting, but I think at that point, things had been postponed and canceled so many times that it almost didn't seem like it was really gonna happen. It was like, "Okay, I'm not gonna believe it until we're actually on the field," because
Kind of like a Chicken
even
Little thing, right?
yeah, and even with us having to get COVID tested every week and the other team having to get COVID tested, it was like, "Okay, what are the odds this actually works out and we play a game?" So, getting to play I know the preparation process, we were really excited and we tried to just prepare as best we could and just, we really wanted that first game. We're like, let's just go out there and play and have fun and, everyone just give it your best. And we ended up winning that first game against Cleveland State, which was awesome. I'm like, you know what? We can just end it here because we like haven't played in so long and we came out and we got a win. It was awesome. So from then on, it felt normal again, just to be able to go out there and play, and we didn't have to wear masks while we were playing outside. But then after that, we had to quarantine for 2 weeks. So that was like a little bit of a wrench thrown in our in our way, but it was okay. We just kind of had to learn that it was happening to every team here at other schools at every level. So it was just something that athletes have really had to deal with this year. But then from then on, we continued on and we kept that mindset of just we don't know when this is going to end, so we're just going to play together and just give it our all. And then we ended up making the tournament, and obviously that didn't go as we lost in the semifinals, but it was still awesome. They only took 4 teams this year to the tournament, and we actually had more teams in our conference this year. So being in the top 4 was still a huge accomplishment.
So step back for a minute. Nursing. What is it that you want to do? Do you know? Or is this I've always wondered this about nursing, right? You do so many things. You do clinicals and you do all these things to learn everything about nursing. Is there one thing that you actually just want to do?
I so I actually have a job lined up already.
Awesome. Good for
Um,
you.
yeah, at Eskenazi Hospital. So I'll be working there starting this summer. But yeah, going through it's kind of funny because I always knew I wanted to be a nurse since I was little. But I never
But see, a
knew
lot of people don't know what that means, right? I
exactly.
want to be a nurse, but what does that mean, right?
I don't
Explain
even
that to me.
yeah, I don't even think I knew what it meant because I once I got to nursing school, I realized how many different areas there are. And I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know. So I thought, oh, I'll figure it out when I do my clinicals. And I realized that I love a lot of different areas. I know which areas I don't like and I feel like I can't do, but I have liked a lot of different areas. I love pediatrics and I love labor and delivery was like my favorite clinical ever. I feel like there's nothing that can compare to that experience for me. But I'm going to work at Eskenazi, and that is a patient population that I feel like I've grown to be very passionate about through nursing school. So I think that that's kind of the population I want to serve. Um, and yeah, and then I applied to nurse practitioner school in the fall and I was accepted. So in a few years, hopefully, if I can get through that, I'll be a nurse practitioner. So
Be an NP. That's so awesome.
yeah.
That's so awesome. So, okay, so you're heading out, right? You're heading out to your first job. What are the last things that you'd like to, say that maybe to your first years that are coming in, to any transfers, to the upperclassmen that are rising, right? What what would you want to say to them about their experience over the last year and a half, and what's coming, right? How would you, what would you want to say to them?
Yeah, I would say that this team and this program is really special. And every team I've been a part of here, each of my 4 years, it'll be a different team every year. Like each class, you go through it with your own class, but each year, one class graduates and the next comes in. But I think this program has a great foundation and it's really special. And I think obviously with this past year and a half being rough, I think that it can only go up from here. And I think this next fall, I know it'll be better, and from then on, hopefully things will go back to normal. But yeah, I think I would just say don't take any of it for granted, because there are so many people who would just love to be playing college soccer, and this is a great place to play college soccer. And I think everyone on this team should feel really valued um, and can have a great academic experience as well.
Well, thank you, Morgan, for joining me today.
Thank
You
you.
all be sure to stay up to date on the latest episodes by following IUPUI Women's Soccer at IUPUI WSOC and the Sports Management Club at IUPUI at SMC_IUPUI on Instagram for all the latest episodes. Thank you again, Morgan, and congratulations on getting your first job. And we will talk to you all later.
Thank you.